Hello and welcome back to LifeUp, another great opportunity to share information with you. Please stay tuned to the end of this video to get to know one important thing you need to know if you're coming to Canada as an international student. This is very, very crucial and is very important. So stay tuned to the end for you to know this. The video is not going to be long. Thank you for being part of this family. If you have not subscribed to be part of the family, please do well to subscribe and be part of the family so you wouldn't miss any of the information that we are sharing. Those of you who want to be move abroad, study, work, or live there, there are so many information that you can look at. So check the videos on my channel. And if you have any question, do not hesitate to reach out to me. I'll be very glad to assist you the very possible way I could. Know that what I'm giving you is an information, so you need to follow the information and do your own application and everything that you need to know. I can only assist you with information. I'm not able to do any application for you, but I'll guide you throughout the process and every information that you need. Okay, let's come to today's topic, or why I'm making this video today. As an international student, if you get your visa to travel to Canada to study, what you receive is not a study permit. You need to get your study permit at a port of entry. I think they will send you all those information so you know that at your port of entry you get your study permit. But these mistakes many students make. That is why I'm making this video, to enlighten you on this so that you don't make that mistake. The visa they put in your passport allow you to travel to Canada. So at your port of entry, so that is the very airport you land in Canada, the first one you land in Canada. That is where you take your study permits. The mistake comes here, or the challenge comes here. You know, at times, if you go to check your flight, most of the time you try to take the cheapest one. The cheapest one. So you say, well, maybe let's take it for instance. Your school is in British Columbia. Your school is in British Columbia. But you realize that if you land in Pearson Airport, that is in Toronto, Ontario, and then you connect a flight to Vancouver or wherever you want to go, it is affordable. So you try to land over there. And then after that, you connect, you go to Vancouver. Instead of taking a flight to Vancouver. Now, you know, in most flights coming to Canada, either you connect through Europe or you connect through the United States. So you choose, you have to do all those research and then know which flights will be good for you. Which flight is going to be good for you. So here is the problem. Because you are taking your student permit at your first port of entry. So if you land in Toronto, Pearson, you need to take your student permit over there. So you go through custom, that is the first stage. That is not the video I'm doing. So you go through those process, and those process can take a longer time depending on number of arrival at that particular time that you are arriving. So if you're not lucky, then many international flights have landed within that same time period, then you're going to follow a very long queue we're going to follow a very long queue. You have to, first of all, do your own check-in declaration and then everything. Then you go through custom. I don't know if they still randomly pick people to test for COVID. I'm not quite sure if they stop that or they still do it. So if you're not lucky, if they still do it, if you know they still do it, put it in the comments. If they've stopped, put it in the comment section. I'm not quite sure if they still do that. If you're not lucky and they even pick you to test you for COVID, meaning you are wasting a whole lot of time over there. And then if you don't have enough connection time layover to fly you to your next destination, but after custom, then you have to go to the next booth, the border authority booth, to get your study permit. And that could also take some time depending on the questions they may ask you and how you'll be able to answer them. That might also take some time. So from there, then you have to move from the international arrival to the domestic departure. And then in most of these airports, they are not just in one building. You have to move out of that building and then take a train, or even some people might take a taxi or whatever you need to take you to the domestic departure, and that can also take a longer time. So you see, all this process is taking some time. So the bad news is, if you're not lucky, you could mix your flights, your connection flight. If you're not lucky, you could mix your connection flight. And then if it is your first time traveling and you miss your connection flight, it becomes frustrated for you. First of all, you don't even know where your luggages are. And let me say this. In most cases, not in all cases, in most cases, if the connection flight is not of the same airline, then you need to take your luggages from your international arrival and take them to the domestic departure. And then you have to do all those check-in again and then everything. And that could be very tedious. And even if there's the same flight or they have a connection and they are able to take your luggages to your next flight for you, which most airlines do, but not all airlines do. So even that is something you also have to make sure that your luggages are sent to the domestic connection that you are making. That is something you have to make sure, because if you do not check that, you get to your final destination and you realize that your luggage is still at Pearson, where you first landed. And that will be a very frustration episode for you. You are going to be very, very frustrated, and then that can really affect you in so many ways. So my advice for you as an international student when coming, learn at where your school is. You may not get like international flights straight to the very place that your school is, but like the province where your school is, that is where you're supposed to learn. In that case, things could be easier for you. Even if it takes you longer time during custom and then getting your study permit, you know that you don't have any connection flight again. You get out of the airport and then you go home. Or you get out of the airport and then you're taking a bus or something to go to your destination. So that is very, very important. Don't look at the money involved. I think it's better you spend the money and save the stress and then the time. I'm not saying everybody will go through this, But if you don't plan well, and then one thing you could also do is, if you want to still land at a destination where you need another flight to go to your final destination, make sure that your layover is long enough. It's long enough for you to go through all this process and then getting time to like prepare yourself for your next flight. It's very, very important. It's very, very, very important. For where you are supposed to land, you don't have any problem. You could land anywhere in Canada at your first port of entry, anywhere in Canada. But your first point of entry is where you need to take your study permit. You don't land in Toronto and then fly to Vancouver and say you are taking your study permit at Vancouver. No, it doesn't happen that way, because Toronto to Vancouver is going to be domestic. So your first point of entry is where you take your study permit. So this is something that is very important that you need to take note of. You need to take note of. Many students get frustrated. Many students go through these challenges because they didn't know. But now that I'm telling you this, please plan accordingly. Plan accordingly. And make sure that you are not going through these difficulties. You get your study permit at your first port of entry, and it takes time. Even to go through custom, it takes time. To take you some time to go through custom. You go through for your study permit. You have to take a taxi or train to the domestic departure. You have to check that your luggages are connected correctly to the domestic flight. I said some of the flight, especially if it's not the same airlines, some of them don't take you to the domestic flight straight for you. Some of them do not. So you have to check and make sure that your luggages are not out during at your first port of entry if you have a connection flight. It is very important you ask the borders officers to also help you, to tell you. If you know you are going to be in this problem, or you might be in this problem, it's very important you talk to them and tell them, hey, I'm very sorry. I have a connection flight departing at this time. So please help me with, like, do everything fast for me. Some of them are very generous, understanding. They may help you with that. But it's better you prepare yourself than asking for that help, because some of them might not even look at your face. They will tell you, please be in the queue. Please, it's not time yet. Please give me time to do my work. So this is a very short advice for you. I hope this helped you, and then it will help many if you share it. So thank you for staying to the end of this video. Share this to as many as possible that they need this information. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do well to subscribe. There are so many information coming your way. Thank you. See you next time. Bye.